Hey, what's up guys, Max here. So we're going to be looking at the Battlegrounds mastery setup. So along with the changes to decks that need to happen, selecting your proper deck, in the past couple of seasons, actually selecting changes to a certain mastery setup actually has been beneficial for a lot of players. So if you've been sticking with the same mastery setup and just been taking off maybe the recoil part of your mastery and just kind of going at it that way, you've been kind of crippled. And if you've probably not understood of why certain champions, why you're not doing as much damage, or why certain interactions are happening and you just don't understand, you're like, I keep losing. It might be your masteries. So what I'm gonna take a look here is basically just point out one thing that we were testing last night. This is a new season, it's a season 5, but it's a new meta. It's as we're approaching the end of season 5. Being one of the most trickiest and difficult metas, not entirely, but very hard to play. You know, there's a lot of timeouts, there's a lot of pauses, there's a lot of different techniques that are being used, even 5-star decks that are being attempted. I think we're going to still test that one out. We haven't tested that one for this final week and final push. But here, as we can see, Rage is the biggest one that we're going to discuss when it comes to the masteries. Actually, Rage was the most annoying part of this week's meta, causing players to rage out a lot. Yes. You heard it. So we have other POLKA power, but actually to use those, we kind of managed to work around those, okay, with certain champions. When it comes to masteries, that the POLKA power does have a little, let me slide it up here a little bit, has a certain champion that helps, especially like an Archangel that provides a lot of bleed. Maybe adding more bleed champions to your deck might help you to just gain some power, launch some specials, but keeping very, very a close eye on Rage, because once you hit that 1% damage cap, you're going to be applying a Fury, and then the champion is going to go unblockable, sorry, and that makes for a very difficult fight. But let me go and show you my mastery setups, kind of what I'm messing with, and it found to be actually very beneficial. So you might want to go and test this out on your own. It did, again, cost me some units overall, but hopefully this helps you out, and let me know in the comments whether you've tried it or you're already on this mastery setup as well prior to this video. I'd love to know that, or kind of what changes you've done to yours to actually better improve the attack and gameplay that you're seeing when it comes to your setup for Battlegrounds if you're in the Gladiator Circuit. So let's take a look. So offensively, as you can see here, we are rocking a couple of points missing from your average setup. You know, we have basically done our Fury points. We have Courage there at the bottom with 3 points there just to make sure our defenders, as they get weaker and weaker, below 50% health, do have a chance at hitting a bit harder, because there is no attack on them at the moment. Now, the other thing, Despair is actually one of the biggest things I'm having on, because you want to put points in, because of the controlling of the healing you might be able to do with certain champions you're going to be facing, and then Deep Wounds 2 out of 5. Again, just to kind of increase the bleeds from my champions. Hopefully they last a little bit longer. And when it comes to defense, this is my defense setup at the moment. Okay, I did add more points in my defense, and this one is the one where I'm like, maybe I lessened a couple of points in there. Block proficiency, and maxed it out. Didn't have it maxed out prior to this. I had 3 out of 4, which is the corner one on the bottom left. Inequity, I did max that out, and that one's kind of an interesting one, because the debuffs, depending on your deck, the debuffs your champion applies to the opponent is going to lessen their damage, and you want them to do a lot of damage because of Rage, right? But I'm hopeful that they trigger Rage in a time due, and eventually my Inequity kicks in and they're just not dealing any more damage. So that's my idea behind this. Now, if everybody ends up running the same setup right here where they're lowering their attack, and I'm seeing that Inequity's actually helping them, they're finishing off the fights, they're finishing off my champions, then we're going to be taking that off because that's actually going to be hurting me. But for now, we're testing it out. We're seeing how this defense setup works. This is the one that I'm kind of like a little bit of like, do I keep this or do I change it? Now, when it comes to proficiencies, that is very basic to what is normally run, which is MD. We have 5 out of 5. We also have Limber at 5 out of 5 in there as well to help with defensive setups in my for my defenders. Most likely everybody's expecting that, and if you don't play with 5 out of 5 in Limber and so you parry somebody and you're like, oh, they don't have this is easy. But for the most part, to combat the Limber, you gotta have Stupefy, which is 3 out of 3, which is what I have, because if anybody that I'm facing has Limber, this gives me a chance to do the parry and do a heavy, which is very important. And again, very basic, nothing crazy when it comes to this setup on the proficiencies. Kind of common, which is what you're seeing a lot of summoners run. A lot of people don't like to run 5 out of 5 in MD because of the power gain, but it's been actually beneficial on my end, what I've noticed, because any little power that you can get on this meta helps, especially if you have a very mystic offensive attackers on your deck. I don't know. I don't think I've actually noticed if MD is giving me power. I think most of the power has been coming from POLKA, which is the damage over time. Actually, correct me if I'm wrong on this one. I think that might be right, where I don't know if MD is actually triggering the power, but there is definitely other areas that you can get power gain, like Hyperion with his power gain is gaining power. But defensively also, it actually makes a really bad time for if you have a very strong Mystic defenders on your deck at the moment. It's going to make it for a very annoying time. I've gone up against a couple of long shots with 5 out of 5 in MD, and instantly they were being pushed from just bar of power to like 1.5, 2 right away. 2 bars of power is making it a very tricky fight and very dangerous fight, being able to push them to special 3. But these are my, again, setups. Defensive inequity, which is far right. And here, let me read to you what that actually reads. It says passively reduces the enemy's attack. Now I have it by 6% for each debuff they are currently suffering from, up to a maximum of 36%. So each debuff they get applied on them basically reduces them 6% up to 36%. So if my opponent is running already a very low offensive deck, my inequity is gonna even lessen their attack, which lessens the chances of rage. That's the only one that I'm gonna keep an eye on again. And I wanna mention it very thoroughly here because I don't want you copying this and then it's not successful because then we're not actually running this setup. But if I do any changes from here in the release of this video to further by the end of this this meta Battlegrounds season, actually season 5, I'll release a video as all these changes were done on the live stream, but it's really hard for people to see the live streams and kind of like it's all over the place. It's not very kind of like it's live, so we're not very like step by step, you know. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully this is helpful for somebody. Again, it's all about not triggering rage. Rage is probably the most difficult portion of this last week's meta when it comes to season 5. Good luck climbing up the Gladiator Circuit. Hopefully we match up soon, and I'll see you in Battlegrounds. Peace.